In the top stories, police investigating homicide in Newtown. Protest in Jamaica leads to arrests, and fuel fears spark panic buying at UK gas stations. Hello and welcome to the ZIZ Midday Newscast. Today is Friday, the 24th of September 2021. I'm Jason Davis. Nationally, the police are investigating a homicide that occurred on Pitcairn Street in Newtown on Thursday night. The incident, which occurred between the hours of 7 and 8 p.m., left 34-year-old Kishon Richard dead, police confirmed on Friday morning. Neighbors and other persons in the area said they heard a gunshot ring out before the police were summoned to the scene. Investigations are underway and more information will be provided as it becomes available. The Antigua and Barbuda Meteorological Services has issued a tropical cyclone alert for the Leeward Islands and the British Virgin Islands, as weather system Sam is now a hurricane and rapid intensification is forecast to continue. A tropical cyclone alert means that in this case a hurricane is in a monitored area, but a watch or warning is not required at this time. In its most recent notice, the Met Office said Hurricane Sam is moving towards the west at 15 miles per hour. This general motion is expected to continue through to tonight. A decrease in forward speed and a shift to the west-northwest is expected over the weekend. Maximum sustained winds have increased to 75 miles per hour with higher gusts. Rapid intensification is forecast to continue, and Sam is likely to become a major hurricane tonight or early Saturday. Hurricane force winds extend up to 15 miles from the center, and tropical storm force winds extend outwards up to 60 miles. All residents are urged to monitor the movement of Sam closely and be prepared to act. With a recent increase in the number of active COVID-19 cases across the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis, Chief Medical Officer Dr. Hazel Laws confirmed during the most recent NEOC COVID-19 press briefing that the Lambda variant of COVID-19 was present in the Federation. Dr. Laws indicated that after samples were sent to CARPHA, the Caribbean Public Health Agency, for genomic sequencing, the Delta variant was not found in the samples sent and tested.
In terms of the Delta variant, now we have sent off about, to date, 3 batches of samples to Caribbean Public Health Agency, and of the batches, only 2 samples returned positive for Delta. And those 2 individuals were inbound passengers who were in quarantine. One in Nevis, one in St. Kitts, and those 2 individuals remained in quarantine in isolation until they were recovered, fully recovered, meaning they got their 2 consecutive negative results. So in other words, we are pretty sure that the importation of the Delta variant was controlled or contained. All right, so in other words, we only have evidence that the Lambda variant is in circulation.
Dr. Laws said more batches will be sent for testing to determine what variants are present in St. Kitts and Nevis. Also, data presented revealed that 51% of the active COVID-19 cases are unvaccinated individuals, showing that more than half of new infections have been unvaccinated persons. Regionally, the leader of Jamaica's third registered political party, the United Independence Congress, and several of his supporters were arrested on Wednesday after they staged a protest against mandatory vaccination and other national issues. Aladdin Love reports.
A warning from the police high command on Tuesday that a march organized by the United Independence Congress, UIC, would be illegal fell on deaf ears. On Wednesday, leader of the UIC, Joseph Patterson, and his supporters clashed with members of the Jamaica Constabulary Force in downtown Kingston as they demanded freedom of speech, freedom of choice, and freedom of movement. Patterson was subsequently arrested for non-compliance with the provisions under the Public Order Act, which stipulates that individuals organizing a public march must get a permit from the police. But prior to Patterson's arrest, the UIC leader said he didn't need authorization to march.
I don't need a permit to walk in my country.
The protest was also in breach of the Disaster Risk Management Act, DRMA, which prohibits public gatherings of more than 10 people. It is understood several other persons were also arrested. Despite some persons in attendance speaking out against vaccines, Patterson maintained that the UIC is neither anti-vax nor pro-vax, but rather pro-choice.
The UIC is not anti-vaccine and we're not pro-vaccine. We're pro-choice. However, you will have a whole host of people coming. Some is against, some is for. We are for unity.
We stand against mandatory vaccine at all costs with no apology. My body, my choice.
According to the UIC leader, the government should consider a more culturally relevant approach to protecting citizens against COVID-19.
The government has an array of opportunities. First of all, put together a non-partisan public emergency council that allows us to have transparency, objectivity and inclusivity so we can pick good choices to protect the Jamaican people. We cannot have a foreign master-led solution. All we're asking for is for our rights. And if we don't get it, we're going to take it.
Aladdin Love for CVM Live.
Still on the regional scene, the number of active COVID-19 cases within the Royal Grenada Police Force is being withheld for security reasons. However, with more than 100 cases reported recovered, the security forces are celebrating the recoveries. GBN News with this report.
The Royal Grenada Police Force, like many entities in Grenada, is hit by COVID-19, with Deputy Commissioner of Police Michael Francois reporting infections amongst its rank and file earlier this month.
I can confirm to you now that as it stands of today, we have 82 positive cases within the Royal Grenada Police Force. 11 of those were overnight within the last 24 hours. So as of yesterday, it was 71. And we had 11 in the last 24 hours, so as it stands now, we are 82. This is significantly affecting the operations of the Royal Grenada Police Force. However, with our commitment to do what is expected of us to ensure the safety and security of Grenada, we are pushing ahead.
2 officers have since died from the virus. To date, the number of active COVID-19 cases within the police force is being withheld as a security precaution. Prime Minister and Minister for National Security Dr. Keith Mitchell have stepped forward to offer words of encouragement to his subordinates and express condolences to the families of the deceased, as well as to the rank and file of the Royal Grenada Police Force. In a press release issued on Wednesday, Dr. Mitchell said he is heartened by the rate of recovery among police officers affected by COVID-19. The number given for recovered officers is 133. Noting the impact of the virus on police officers, the Prime Minister said the situation placed an additional burden on the system and required various adjustments to ensure that police operation continued seamlessly. In August, the RGPF announced its first COVID case in the St. John district, prompting the Ministry of Health to administer rigorous contact tracing and testing throughout all departments. The country's latest figures show that there are 2,194 active cases, of which 2,185 are among locals and 9 imported. The death toll stands at 85 and 103 people are currently hospitalized. Cherry and Blackman Stephen, GBN News.
Internationally, huge lines blocked access to petrol stations across the UK amid fuel shortage fears. Panic buyers have been lining up from the early hours on Friday morning to fill their tanks. More in this Reuters report.
Long lines formed at some UK petrol stations on Friday. That after reports of fuel shortages in certain locations. Oil giant BP had to close a few of its outlets, saying driver shortages meant it had been unable to get enough fuel delivered. ExxonMobil's Esso and supermarket chain Tesco were also affected. The problems come as Britain grapples with a shortage of truck drivers. About 25,000 left the UK because of Brexit, and lockdowns put on hold the testing of new drivers. The industry says it's now short of about 100,000 truckers. Ministers have tried to stop panic buying and calm fears of a major fuel shortage. Transport Secretary Grant Shapps says the government will do whatever it takes to ease the driver shortage. The government insists there is no danger of a return to the 1970s, when Britain grappled with energy shortages and rampant inflation. Hauliers say ministers should urgently allow short-term visas for foreign drivers. But there are fears that it's already too late to avoid problems with the delivery of goods during the festive season. Supermarkets say Christmas presents could be the next target for panic buyers.
And now for the weather. Present weather is fair. Winds are southeast at 8 to 15 miles per hour, becoming variable or calm at times. The temperature for today is 31 degrees Celsius or 88 degrees Fahrenheit. Seas are moderate with waves of 4 to 5 feet. And the weather forecast for St. Kitts and Nevis today says it will be partly cloudy, then become cloudy at times with a 50% or moderate chance of showers. Tonight will be partly cloudy with a 40% or moderate chance of showers. Sunset today will be at 6:05 p.m., sunrise tomorrow at 6:01 a.m. And that brings us to the end of the ZIZ Midday Newscast. Join us this evening for these stories and more in detail. Thank you for tuning in. I'm Jason Davis.